Okay.
I feel pretty good today. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Last time you weren't feeling. We've canceled on each other twice.
Twice, yes.
I love to cancel.
Yes, me too. We canceled because we don't like each other. No.
Yeah.
No, I had an ear infection, and I was just telling her that I really did have one, but I was afraid, she wouldn't believe me because I used to lie a lot. You know, like, and that's true because for a long time when I was doing stand up, I would cancel like more than half my shows, more than half my podcasts.
Why do stand-ups do that?
Well, no, it's not. I was depressed.
It's common.
Well, it was more common because I was so depressed and like for the first like 8 years I did comedy, I was so depressed and I there were days I couldn't get out of bed, and it's been like this for like any full-time job I've had. There were just days where I woke up and I was starting to cry, and then I thought maybe I can toughen this out, but I just like it was almost like a physical disability. And so I just kind of had this like reputation of being a flake,
Oh,
but
I really.
No, it's okay. I mean, but
I'm wondering now if I'm depressed.
You might be.
Because
do you cancel a lot?
I cancel a lot.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know why I want to stay at home.
Well, I mean, staying at home is like it's the greatest feeling. I love, but that's my favorite place to be is at home.
Me too.
But so the last 3 years I've been trying to make up for like lost time and like never canceling anything.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll try and make that commitment to myself.
Yeah. So, but like when I had the ear infection, I almost like brought a doctor's note to you, like, and it's like, and you totally believed me, but I'm like.
No, but by the way, the funny part is I got that text and I said to Julian, I was like, wow, like what a liar.
Yeah, it was like,
but then I was like, I believe you, but I was also like, probably a lie.
No, it was bad.
And by the way, I do believe you, but like also it is a lie.
Yeah, because I could have totally done. See, the thing is, I canceled on you, and then I kept going like I could have probably done it, and then I would get like vertigo. I'm like, no, it's good that I canceled, and then I would get, because like when I canceled, there's like a guilt, and then finding out that it might cost you money, and I was like, can I Venmo? Like I'll Venmo you double the.
I'm like profiting off of it. Yes, I keep booking you, hoping you'll cancel, and I'll turn a profit.
Turn a profit, yeah.
I recently tried to cancel on a show because I had a really bad migraine, and it was a similar thing where I was like, it's bad, I want to stay home, but I committed to this show.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that far, but I was like, I don't know. And it was a bar show.
Yes, right.
So I was like, it's not like a club.
Yeah.
Like I feel like bar shows you can kind of bail if you need to bail.
Yeah.
And I reached out and they were like, okay, fuck, we need to find a replacement. Please help us.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what? I'll just come.
Oh, God. They wanted you to find a replacement. You should have just been like, do you know I've been on television? You should have just pulled that up.
I know, but I'm the one that canceled like 2 hours before.
Yeah, I understand.
I feel bad, but it's easy to cancel on. You want to cancel on shows sometimes.
Yeah. No, I understand. Yeah, for sure. But I'm glad we're here now.
We're here.
I'm really glad you canceled the second time. Because you just kind of like, whenever somebody else messes up, I'm just like, oh, thank God. That means I love it. I get one free, fuck up.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Every time I have plans with someone, I kind of hope the day of they're like, I can't.
I know. Me too.
I'm
the same way.
But then sometimes I get self-conscious that like I don't want to be that person that always does it, and I have to like just intuit if the other person is on the same page with flexibility as me. Because do you ever make plans with someone who's like the total opposite and they're so anal and they want to know the location a week in advance? And I'm like,
no,
I don't think we could be friends.
No, I have to. The friends I have, it's like. We make plans and we both go like, and we can cancel the last minute if we're not feeling it. It's like I have a deal with my friends because all of my friends have mental illnesses. And they're all like neurodivergent and everything, which is, if you're all neurodivergent, then it's like, to me, typical is divergent, you know? So, yeah, I mean, my friends need to have like, I have a deal with most of my friends also. It's like, we can disappear for months without saying and then come back.
That sounds dangerous considering the mental illness.
Yeah, no, I know.
If I don't hear from you for months, I'll just assume you're good.
Yeah.
That's the pact I make with all my suicidal friends.
Yeah.
I mean, Julian and I are like that, and I have one friend, Gracie, who I know Gracie and I can bail no matter what. We don't need a reason. Like, we could just text being like, we can't. I don't want to do this today. And she's like, cool, no bad blood.
Yeah.
But the added thing in LA is also that you have to journey when you're like a West Sider.
Yeah.
So fucking like, are you doing these East Side shows all the time?
No, I don't. Honestly, you caught me at this pivotal moment in my life from the past few days. where I'm starting to reach out to do shows now, and I've never done that before. I've been doing comedy for 11 years, and I've never done it. So I'm actually trying to get more shows.
Wow. How did that? You just got booked when you got booked?
Yeah, I got booked when I got booked, and I almost like did this like I played hard to get by accident, you know, and it's like almost like I had this reputation of like like if she won't leave the house unless it's worth it, like a Larry David type, like Larry David would disappear for years and come back.
He's in your friend group.
Yeah, that's right. Me and Larry David can just cancel whenever.
You could do that, LD.
Yeah, but no, I had talked with my partner the other day, and it was like a really long talk. It was just like I guess I hadn't opened up in months or maybe years, and it used to be really easy for me to open up, but
to your partner.
Yeah, it used to be easy for me to open up to everyone, like to the whole world. Like I would be this oversharing, because again, when I was depressed, all I had was vulnerability, and it wasn't like I was doing the vulnerability to be brave or anything. It's just like I was so depressed and suicidal, and I didn't want to kill myself, but I did want to kill myself, that I would just vent all the time on Facebook and Instagram, wherever, and Twitter. But then when my depression went away, I kind of wanted to like show people that I don't just have vulnerability, that I can be silly, that I can be playful and stuff, and then I almost like for the last 3 years I've almost been like obsessively not vulnerable. But then I had the opposite problem. Now it's like it's hard for me to, it became hard for me to open up. So I got like in this really big I can't really say what it is, but I got this really big gig that's coming up in a few months. And my partner, they were telling me like, I need to prepare for this thing because I am very avoidant, and I hadn't ever talked about it. And it seemed like I wasn't even thinking about it. And then I kind of just got upset, and then they were like, you should call the Comedy Store. And then I got really defensive and I got really mad. And I was like, what if I call them and I don't even know what to say. I don't know what the fuck do I say when I call the Comedy Store? Put me on a spot. And I kind of was getting really mad and defensive. And then they said, you've been on Netflix talking to David Letterman. You've been on New Faces, on Just for Laughs, and you still talk about yourself like you're nobody. And it just like hit me that I've been doing that. I've been devaluing myself and I'm like, okay, so you want to hear what I've been thinking about? And then I just unloaded. I was like, here's how I'm preparing for the show. Here's what I've been thinking about. Here's what and then they were like, why don't you share any of this stuff with me? And I'm like, because I don't want to burden you. If it's not like, I don't want to burden anyone, because I have such a good life and I don't want to complain. I kind of this toxic positivity on myself. And then they were like, I need you to open up more. So I opened up for like 5 hours about everything I've been stressed out about everything I've been worried about. And then I realized while I was talking is like, I kind of confessed that I had been smoking for like maybe the past 6 months or a year, about like 10 to 12 bowls of marijuana a day. Like I was smoking all day. All I was doing was everything I did was like, it was either to smoke or to get ready to smoke or to do something to reward me with smoking. So I've been kind of in this marijuana haze. And then the past like maybe week, I've decreased it by like 95%. And it's almost like I'm coming out of this marijuana haze, For
the last 6 months.
Yeah. And so I kind of like, I'm all active now and I kind of want to do stuff and I kind of want to leave the house now, which is like a weird feeling. And anyway, yeah, you asked me the question about like East Side show. I don't know what East Side and West Side are, so I kind of avoided the question because I'm bad with geography. But
we live kind of western.
Oh, okay. Well, I called the So I actually emailed the Comedy Store. I asked who the booker was, and she got back to me right away. She's like, "Oh my God, yes, please!" And now I have a show tonight at the Comedy Store, and all I had to do was email, and I was like, "Oh my God, is this all I've had to do? Was just reach out to people?" So I think I'm gonna try to do more shows. And so like, I have this podcast with you today, and back then that would have been all I did the whole day. It would have been this podcast, go home and reward myself by smoking 10 bowls of weed for doing a podcast. But now I'm like, I can do both. I can do this and I can do a show tonight. I can cook. Anyway, so that's kind of what I wanted to share. Like this is the past few days, and like I'm really I'm opening up more. And the vulnerability was like my best quality before, but it was all I had to offer. And now I'm like, why don't I incorporate it, a little vulnerability, in my toolbox of like the kind of comedy I do. I can, enter in a little more vulnerability. So, yeah.
So you feel that there was so much you said. I mean, I don't even know where to start with all of that.
I'm sorry.
But I related to a lot of it, and it's very vulnerable to share.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. But I do see, there's so much. First, how did you move past So, I mean, the last 6 months when you're smoking pot, you consider that a depression?
You know what I was doing? I was numbing myself from thinking about the pressures. It's like when you know how people go like, oh, don't smoke pot because it zaps your ambition. I'm like, why would you say that is a bad thing? I mean, the whole purpose of doing this is to zap my ambition. You know, it's like if I smoke a lot of weed, I don't have to think about comedy as my job. I really wasn't taking myself seriously, you know, and it's like what was really a lot of pressure, you know, the pressure is like, it's like stupid to complain about because it's such a good problem to have that you don't want to feel like you're complaining, right? It's like I'm used to being the person who is like a feature who should be headlining or somebody who should be higher than I am and all this stuff. And then like all I had was fuck people, I can punch, I can like overcome adversity. And then I started realizing like, oh, I am getting the respect from people. Oh, people do love me. Oh my God, people are expecting me to be good.
Now you have to show up.
And now I have to like, now it's like
deliver.
And it's like I'm no longer motivated by like spiting people I hate, and it's still a little bit of that, but now I have to like perform for people I love, which is a lot scarier than, you know, because, you know, fuck you is easy, but, you know, thank you for loving me is a lot harder. And so like just like kind of venting that out, I think it's made it like, okay, I think I can do this, and I feel really good. And I think just decreasing the marijuana and like taking my life more seriously, and that's kind of another thing I realized was like when like the way I was talking about comedy, I wasn't really talking about it like it was my job. I was talking about it like it was like a hobby that I stumbled upon, and it's just like a distraction that I have to do my favorite thing, which is to smoke weed at home. That the whole point of my life was to never leave the house. So yeah, so
is your partner staying home at that point, or you're alone a lot?
Oh, you know, they work from home, so we're always at home together. But you know, they're in the room, and so like with the door closed, you know, they're working from home. Yeah.
So what got you through the initial depression? What is the thing that kicked you out of it?
I think it was like,
that's the hardest part.
Yeah, I think just like opening it, I like opened it for like 5 hours and I was crying a bunch, and I just like, I mean, this is gonna sound corny, but I think just like saying it out loud and getting it out of me, and it was like oh, I don't think I can avoid this anymore, and then I kind of realized like if I don't talk about my comedy career as a job, then my partner will never believe like, I mean, like they've always seen me as like they've been my biggest fan since the beginning, since even before I came out as trans and everything. Like they kind of just, they've been waiting for me to take myself more seriously. And so yeah, it's like they were just kind of reminding me like, you're Robin Tran, like what are you doing, you know, like get out of the house and do more shows and stuff. So you felt your stand-up shifting into more vulnerable places? Yeah, but you know, it was funny, you know, because like I love your stand-up, by the way, Robin. Oh, thank you. And I've seen Robin on David Letterman, and all across your TikTok, and your clips are so great. You have a unique voice, and I just love watching. Yeah, I have a especially for a trans person, I have a literally unique voice because it's very that's what I meant. I have a very unique voice. Yeah, and my stand-up is just as funny as this long monologue, actually. No, come on. This monologue's great. Wow, you really caught me at like this like weird point in my life. My best friend is in hospice care right now, and I had to visit him. I'm so sorry. Yeah, it's been tough. It's like last Tuesday or so I visited him. Cancer? And yeah, I think so. He doesn't really like to talk about the details. He actually has a really positive attitude about life still. Oh my God. And so what happened was like the night before, I had this show. It was like a fake game show. And in my head I'm thinking like, how the fuck am I going to do this show? Like how am I going to even get through this? And then when I got there, and the first like section is you have to tell your darkest jokes. And I hadn't had any time to really prepare, so I'm like, well, I'm just going to talk about my friend dying. We're going to talk about, and I made it funny. And I was like, wow, you know, I was able to, and this is kind of like one of the things that made me cry thinking back on it, is that I was able to hold the grief for my friend and not let go of that grief, but also to have a silly attitude and to bring it into the room. And like, I didn't make it weird. I made it like, a real thing happening, but I made it light. You know, like it was like a fake game show. So whenever I'd be like losing points, I'd go into the mic. I'm like, my friend's dying, you know, to get me more points.
Yeah.
And I was so proud of myself afterwards because I thought like, wow, that's like, I think I'm an adult now. It was like the first time in my life I felt like an adult because I don't think I would have been able to do that a few years back. So I think I'm just bringing in like I am realizing now that like vulnerability is good as long as it's not all that you can offer. Right. And so it's nice to be able to tap into that again. I'm kind of almost like resentful at a lot of like the edgelord comics, you know, the edgy ones with the podcasts who used to like make fun of podcasters for being vulnerable, and I almost like bullied out the nerd comics for a while. And then now they're all being fucking vulnerable.
Talking about their feelings.
Yeah, talking about their feelings. I'm like, hey, what do you...
dreams.
I'm better at this than you guys are. And like, why do you guys get to talk about that and not get called gay, huh?
Yeah, I know.
That's why I'm calling them gay
the
now.
Podcast culture. Did you see Mark Maron's most recent special?
Oh, yes. I loved it.
It's reminding me a bit of what you're saying, just like being able to turn these really... I mean, and that's like the best comedy, though, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for a while, I thought like it's not... Like, you know, I think for a while, I think it became too... it became too much like dramedy.
Like,
you know,
Nanette type thing?
Yeah, and I think it was like... You know, I think she pulled it off, but then there were a bunch of like wannabe Nanette kind of specials, you know?
There were like... Did you see Rothaniel?
Oh, no, I didn't see that, but I heard it's a little bit like that.
I mean, yeah, it was just like, it's like very earnest, and it's like, it tips more into like feeling like a one-man show.
Yes, right.
You know? So, I mean, I don't know.
But then I saw, yeah, Mark Maron's was great.
Yeah.
I saw John Mulaney's last special. Did you see
Baby
that
J?
one? Yeah.
I just watched it.
I loved it. Did you like it?
I loved it. My friend pointed out one thing that I can't stop thinking about.
What is it?
He said that it feels contrived to talk about his drug problem like this isolated thing instead of addressing the context of, you know, the like dissolution of his marriage and his infidelity and the baby, and it felt like pretending like, I don't care what people think about me now, look at this, and like ignoring the huge chaos of his life.
Right. Yeah.
Beyond that,
that's true.
And like that feels like performative and calculated, instead of saying like, I fucked up to the point where like I left my wife, I was in rehab, I married someone else immediately, I had a baby, everything like just by being like, I like
true.
Coke.
Yeah. No, that's true. It's a good point.
So I don't know how much we can expect.
And I said,
from
I left my wife. And I married somebody else. Is that a good imitation of John Mulaney?
So I married somebody else. I don't know, but I thought it was clever.
The thing is that here's how I feel about the John Mulaney special. Okay,
and I enjoyed it. I just want to say I enjoyed it, and I think the jokes are phenomenal.
I completely agree with everything you're saying, but what John Mulaney proved to me, and this is something I didn't even realize about myself, is that if you can be funny enough, I guess I'll forgive you for most things. Like the thing, I didn't realize it because I put it on out of curiosity.
Yeah.
And within 2 minutes, I'm laughing more than I have for most comedy specials in a while.
Me too. No, me too. 100%.
And I was just like, oh, I forgive him. Like I just like forgive. Like if like you, it's I don't think people realize how hard it is to make a good comedy special. And I was like, oh my god, he pulled off what Louis C.K. was not able to. And so it made me realize that like a lot of these guys who think that like
I liked Louis' last special.
I heard it was good.
I thought it was great.
Oh, okay. Well, I should check it out.
It wasn't the one immediately after.
Yeah, right.
It was
right.
because he had two sets.
Yes,
this
that's
was the
what I
Madison
mean.
Square Garden one.
Yeah. I heard that one was really good.
I liked. Some people hated it.
But I should check it out. But it's just like I just admired that he talked about very personal things without asking for pity, really, or compassion and. Just like really honest moments and everything, and that was a special to me. That I was like, oh, this is a way to use vulnerability in a productive way. I mean, it was avoidant in some ways too, because he didn't talk about all the other stuff. But it was like he talked about like one topic for 80 minutes. That's like a pretty impressive thing to do.
It did feel strikingly vulnerable. Did he mention his kid? No,
I don't think so. I didn't even know he had kids.
He had the one kid with Olivia Munn.
I didn't even know that.
Oh, I think that's why people are thinking like everyone's mad at him. I think he went into rehab, immediately knocked someone else up.
Oh, okay.
They got married or they're together and they had a baby, but he was with his wife for like 10 years and said he wouldn't have a baby.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So like, but that sounds...
Well, you know what? I take back everything I said. He's a piece of shit. No, I actually don't like it. I'm actually
piece of shit.
I'm the opposite of a stubborn person, where I'm very easily swayed.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'll flip on anything. I loved it. I hate it. I'll just agree. What are some of your favorite specials now that we're on the topic?
My favorite special of all time is Eddie Pepitone's For the Masses in 2021. Did you ever see that?
I've never seen it.
It's on YouTube now. It's my favorite special, and it's funny because I got booked on a bunch of podcasts in the beginning of like around 2020 when everyone was just doing Zoom interviews, and I was just causing a lot of chaos on the internet. So I was just getting booked on a lot of podcasts.
What were you doing on the internet?
Oh, I would make memes making fun of all the famous comedians, and this is it was so blasphemous to do all this stuff. But I just thought, hey, everyone's at home now, and home is
what are they gonna do? Come get me?
Yeah, what are they gonna do? Come get me? And also I saw the lockdown as an opportunity that I'm really good at home. So why don't I just look at the internet as I have a bigger audience at home now. Everyone's at home. So let me just be the funniest internet comedian. I'm going to be the funniest person on the internet during the pandemic. Because I love being at home and I'm not bothered by staying home. And so I got booked on Eddie Pepitone's podcast, and I didn't even know who he was. And so I check out the trailer of his special, and there's an old white guy yelling.
I want to see this guy's face.
Yeah, so it's an old white guy yelling, and the trailer is doing nothing for me.
Okay.
And then I got to do research on this guy's special, and the first minute didn't do anything for me, and then after the first minute, when I realized what he's doing, it just became my favorite special on accident.
What is he doing? I don't even recognize this guy.
He has been in a lot of things, but he's never been the lead. He was on an episode of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. He was, he's just kind of been around the business. But
he's at the Comedy Store a lot.
I think so. I think I think he performs a lot, but he's never. He's very hard to put into a box.
Yeah.
So it's but everyone the comedians love him. Everywhere from Patton Oswalt to Tim Dillon both love him, and that to me is the two extremes of comedian is Tim Dillon and Patton Oswalt.
They're both amazing.
They're both on the opposite sides of the.
Are they? Yeah, I guess they kind of are. That's kind of the scale.
Yeah, you think Tim Dillon's amazing?
But I see some of Tim Dillon and Marcelo Hernandez.
I don't think so.
Oh, he has some of his voice. He's on SNL now. I always see what's out, and I'm always disappointed.
Yeah, I don't like most comedy specials. Yeah, I think that the mistake that a lot of these places made is that they started giving all these comedy specials to podcasters, and I don't think that podcasting is a lot different than stand-up comedy. It's a much different art form.
It's completely different.
Yeah, because I think that they do so many podcasts that. A podcast, you don't really have to think. You just have to kind of react. You're just kind of talking. But stand-up, you have to actually think. But if all you're doing is reacting to stuff, and you have all the stuff that you're reacting to on your podcast, your hour is just going to be riffs that you did on your podcast, really.
Yeah.
And so they're not really putting in. They're putting in the physical work, but they're not putting in any of the mental work. And then so they get this audience that will. Oh, I loved him on his podcast, so let me go and watch him live. And then they're always kind of disappointed. But
right. Well, it's the YouTubers doing stand-up. It doesn't translate.
Yeah, and it's the what they say about the special is more damning than hate mail, I think. It's well, I liked him more on his podcast, but it's nice to see him doing well. I'm that's how you thought about his stand-up? Yeah. I would rather you just say that it sucked. It's you're just watching they're watching their friend do an open mic,
right?
But
in front of 20 million people.
Yeah, but it's a friend that has never talked to them.
Right. They have a parasocial relationship.
Yeah, they have a parasocial relationship
with someone who's doing a bringer show.
Yes, basically, yes.
Yeah, right. That is why. So tell us about how you got. And I know we talked about this on Ashley Gavin's podcast, but to sit down with David Letterman.
Yeah.
I mean, it's iconic. What an experience.
Yeah, it was. I'm trying to remember. I hope I'm not going to repeat myself too much from Ashley's podcast.
Well, this is a different podcast.
Yeah, it's true. I don't know why, but I just assume that you guys have the identical audience because we're all queer,
Yeah, they're just this copy pasted the same people.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't sink in that I was going to be on the show until 2 p.m. on the day of, because we needed to get a COVID test before, and I was just until I get a negative COVID test, I don't believe I'm actually going to be talking to David Letterman. And then I got, the negative test, and I'm like, okay, oh shit, I'm gonna be talking to David Letterman in like 4 hours.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have, in a way, it was good that I didn't have time to really stress out. But
this is for My Next Guest series on Netflix.
It's from That's My Time.
That's My Time.
Yeah.
But you sit down.
Yeah. It's like
it feels the same set
vibe.
It
is. Yeah. You do 5 minutes and then you get invited to the couch.
And how did you get chosen for it?
He handpicked like 6 people out of like thousands of. I don't know how he got my tape or whatever, but
that's unbelievable.
I know he handpicked 6 of us, and I was like, wow, holy shit, that's so. And we really got along really well. But I'm so like, I go between like insecure to arrogant pretty quickly, because after we had the chat. We got along so well that I'm like, I think I could be friends with David Letterman. But I think that's what makes him such a good interviewer, is that he made me feel that we had a special connection.
Right.
But yeah, my favorite thing was like backstage. He meets with everybody in his dressing room, and it's funny because like there are other people standing there. I think just like I think it's like in a different environment. The doors open and there's like 3 guys watching, like just making sure that there's witnesses that we're talking, so that we're not talking alone.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's very similar to me, where he'll just like kind of say how he feels. Yeah. And so the first thing he said, I'm like, hey Dave, nice to meet you. How you feeling? He goes like, oh, I don't know, kind of down, kind of sick. How are you? How are you feeling?
Kind of down?
Yeah, kind of down, kind of sick. I don't know. I don't feel too well. How are you doing? And I'm like, oh yeah, do you think you're sick or something? He was like, I always think I'm sick. And I go, yeah. And I go, yeah, I am a hypochondriac. And he goes, how does that manifest for you? And I said, I think I have everything except for hypochondria. And he started just laughing, and right away we just like hit it off.
Wow.
We just had this like neurotic conversation, and I don't know. I feel like it is kind of my job to not be starstruck.
Yes.
And it's like I will be starstruck after the whole experience, because like it's like I don't think the audience wants to see somebody starstruck. I think that kind of it devalues you, and it kind of robs the audience of a good experience. So,
yeah.
So my favorite part?
You're a part of it. You're not meant to be in awe. Yeah. You have to preserve the integrity of you guys are the celebrities.
Exactly. Yeah. And so like I also didn't watch a lot of David Letterman. I hope he's not listening to this podcast. He's the biggest fan of this podcast.
Yeah.
But
he identifies as a lesbian. He's listening.
Like before he walks on the stage to do his monologue before he brings me out.
You guys kissed.
Yeah, we yeah, we're like lesbians.
Nothing touches.
he would just be like, he was like, he was just looking, and he'd go, I don't want to be out. I don't want to go out there right now. And I'd just be like, you think I want to be here, Dave? And we just like, me and him were just joking around. Everyone else is kind of panicky and looking at their headsets. I love that. And we just like, we fucked around a lot. I actually do think we got along exceptionally well.
I don't think he's like that with all of his guests.
Yeah, no, we really, like, he got a real kick out of me. And what I loved about him, number one, he didn't misgender me once, which is like, I get misgendered like all the time, to the point where it doesn't bother me at all anymore, because it's kind of like, if it bothered me every time, I'd never find any peace. But when I realize that somebody doesn't at all, I notice it as a good thing, you know. And he didn't ask me any questions about being trans, like none. And that to me was like, I didn't even realize it until after. He was so into my story, and he was in, what was this, we taped 2 episodes, and they kind of splice in the best of both. A lot of our second interview didn't make it into the final cut, and it was because it got really nerdy halfway through, because he was so into hearing how I create my jokes. And then it kind of just became like this kind of nerdy conversation about comedy.
Inside baseball.
He was really into my brain. Yeah. And that was like, for a guy to be into my brain is like, it's like, that never happens. And, yeah, it was such a great experience, and I still watch it sometimes when I'm feeling down.
That's awesome.
But I still I hate the way I look in it.
Really?
I am
Why?
like, well, I mean, I had barely left the house, and I was smoking a lot of weed. I was eating so much, my dress didn't even fit me, and you see like my belly out, and I don't know. I just like, I wasn't putting any effort to my public appearance at the time. Because I guess it didn't sink in that I was actually going to be on this show.
Register.
Yeah, so I didn't really I don't know. I didn't put in an effort to look better. I mean, I got a new dress, and then I realized when I got the dress that it didn't fit as well as my old dress. It doesn't fit well. Like neither dress fit well, but the old dress that didn't fit well just felt like a better didn't fit well. and so like I would recommend people to watch it because it's on one hand it is maybe my proudest comedy accomplishment, at least top 3, and on the other hand it like I watched it and I need to like take better care of myself.
I didn't feel.
I appreciate that, but like, I mean, you know, like it's
let
like
that go.
It's weird. I know it's weird to have both like feelings at the same time. Like this is the proudest thing I've ever done, and I'm also ashamed of how I look. And you know, the being proud of the accomplishment like supersedes it a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I like the reframe of it inspired you to maybe check in and take care of yourself. But to be beating yourself up about the dress, I mean, who gives a fuck? You're on Letterman.
I know. And it's like, I'm so insecure in some ways about the way I look that like, you know, like I would show some of my friends like the little previews and I'd be like, yeah, I know that I don't look good in this and they're like, I'm crying because I'm watching my friend on Letterman and you're talking about your dress.
Right. You're
like, what are you
putting
talking?
It on everyone.
Like, I know I should have gotten a haircut before.
And everyone's like, we were not thinking about that at all.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, I just like have a lot of insecurities that I'm trying to address like more and more over time. Like that, like my insecurity about my looks is like so intense that like, I almost like go out of my way to not ever meet any internet friends, not because of any danger or anything. Because they're all safe. I'm afraid that they'll see me in person and they'll be disappointed by the way I look and they won't want to be my friend anymore. Like it's that's like how intense.
But I like get that. Like the reason I think about the way I think about that is like sometimes I want to avoid using any sort of filter on like Instagram stories or something.
Yeah.
But everyone does it, so I'm like, if I don't do it, I look noticeably worse.
Right, that's what I think too.
But if I do that, and then you see me in person, I look like an avatar on the internet. And then in person, they're like, "Oh, that's your human self." It really is like two different people.
Well, I think you look great. I think that it like you look pretty. You look the same, I think.
Okay, good.
Yeah, but I remember a few years ago when I first came out, and I was really trying to look as pretty as I can.
Yeah.
One of my weird fears I had was that like I would use these filters and everything, and I'd look pretty, and then they'd see me in real life, and a guy would think to themselves like, I've been jacking off to this, and then like get really violently mad at me. This is what I've been jacking off to. And, like that was like my
Isn't
fear.
That amazing that that's just your self-hatred?
Yes. Right.
That's literally that guy that's like angry at you. That's like.
I thought I was jacking off to someone with no facial hair.
We're so hard on ourselves.
No, yeah, I know, but
it's brutal. That's one of the reasons why when I was on dating apps, people, guys like lie about their height on dating apps.
Yeah.
I never understood that because if you're going to meet them anyway, my biggest fear would be someone so disappointed. So if anything, I'll undershoot everything. I make myself shorter, fatter, hairier, put on the worst pictures that when they see me in person, they're like, wow, you're great.
That's a really good idea.
I don't want to fucking, like the catfish thing. That's like the reverse of what we would do. Is like putting hot photos. That's insane. Like because we're so self-conscious, we don't want to disappoint anyone.
Yeah.
We're afraid you're going to be mad at us.
Yeah, and it's like, and it doesn't even make any sense because like all of these people have seen me on stage.
Right.
But to me, I kind of thought like, yeah, but I have a microphone and there's an audience laughing and there's a context and I like look cool doing something that I'm good at. And even before, when I was doing TikToks, during the pandemic. And I ran out of stand-up clips to post, and then I started having to do
That's a tough spot.
Yeah, and I was like, my fiance was like, you got to start like
leaving the house.
No, they told me like, no, it was like,
you're filming the clips in the kitchen and adding his. Sorry, are you?
They, yeah, but it's fun. It's okay. It's I like they wanted me to start just making videos where I'm talking to the camera and I start crying and I'm like, but I'm too ugly and no one's going to want to see my face. And they're like, but they've seen your face. Like it just didn't make any sense. And so like that kind of helped me a little bit with the self-consciousness. Like when I started reading comments about me on like queer TikTok and them calling me pretty, but them not knowing I was reading it, that kind of like did a lot for my insecurity. Like, oh, okay, so you guys aren't just being nice to me. You guys are talking to each other.
Right. And they were saying you're in a different room.
Yeah, they were saying things like, I hope this is the sweetest generation. Like, I hope this isn't making like downplaying her accomplishments, but I think she's really pretty, if that's okay. And I wanted to chime in like, yes, more shallow compliments, please. I'm not one of these women that hate the compliments about my looks. Please, all the compliments.
Call.
Oh my God, yes, please catcall me.
That's a nice positive TikTok story. That's usually not what I hear.
Yeah, I mean, I also get like,
I get the worst.
I have gotten like hundreds of like, you're a guy, go kill yourself or whatever. I've gotten a lot of those, but I kind of just try to ignore that and try to just focus on people who like me now.
Yeah, that's a move.
Yeah, I mean, the insecurity about how I look is based off of like something that happened in like 8th grade, and it was like
that you held on to.
Yeah, and I like met with some old like classmates that I was chatting with on AIM Instant Messenger.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really good on AIM Instant Messenger, but when we all went to the movies together, I was like shy and I was kind of like didn't know what to say, and
mm-hmm.
and then my crush was there,
mm-hmm.
and all the girls knew that I had a crush on her.
Mm-hmm.
And so like they try to make it so that we would sit next to each other in the movie, even though that's not what I asked for.
Yeah.
And when they made it so obvious, and then the girl started going, "Ew, oh my God, can someone switch with me?" And that moment was like, I'm never meeting anyone on the internet ever again. Even though like when I like,
how old were?
I mean, I think
kids?
we were like 13 or so. So this
brutal.
is like 25
worst.
years ago, I think, at this point.
But it's painful.
It's
that
painful.
time and that sort of energy can feel really fucking painful.
But you know what's even like more crazy about this is it wasn't until about 2 or 3 years ago when I realized that the story has taken a life of its own, because like that girl and I, a couple years later, we became very good friends. And we would have picnics together and stuff. And we once said "I love you" to each other. So like this story about this thing that happened to me, it's not even about the girl anymore, because the girl and I became friends, and we still check in with each other sometimes. It's just like a memory of I'm upset at a ghost. You know? And so yeah, that's
well, I think things like that, they just like they have the potential to like leave an imprint on you, and unless you like heal it and look at it, it just stays there. It's like sometimes before I did a lot of work on myself, I felt like I had like my 8-year-old self controlling my emotions.
Right.
And I mean, I'm thinking about like that moment you said, what came to mind was I was seeing this girl when I was in high school, and she had a boyfriend, but we would like see each other when she was not with him, and it was clearly like we loved each other, regardless of what the sexual relationship looked like. It was more than just friends.
Yeah.
And I remember like we had kissed or something, and she said the next day like, "I'm so glad I have a boyfriend. Otherwise, people would think like we're lesbians."
Oh my God.
And
that's brutal.
I was so devastated. Like it was that sinking feeling.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And we have reconciled later in life. We're friendly.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing of like I'm not mad at her, but that moment in time.
Yeah, it was like it was like almost like your worst fear came true. It was like a confirmation of your worst fears.
Oh my God, Can I divulge even
please.
more? I don't want to make it about me.
No, please make it about you.
But let me make it about me.
Yeah, please do.
But I remember one time, she had this boyfriend, and she was texting him, and I was sitting next to her, and he had texted her saying like, "I'm gonna do things to you that Ali only wishes she could do."
Oh my God.
That like killed me inside, because I was so confused about my sexuality and like devastated that I couldn't be a guy that she would like love.
Yeah.
Or like I couldn't like fuck her like how she like how I thought she was like it just like challenged like all of my fears it confirmed.
Oh right.
It was like you're not good enough because you're not a man.
Yeah.
You won't get the love of a woman because you're not a man.
Right.
You won't get her love. You can't love a woman.
Yeah.
That fucking killed me, and it's just these things that like they're children, like children, like tossing around these like grenades.
I know, and you know, the ironic thing is that like the fear of like, oh my, like I think a lot of guys have the fear of like my dick's not big enough and I won't be able to fuck a girl properly and all this stuff. And then you look at the statistics and it's like straight women have like the lowest orgasm rate.
It comforts me so much.
It's like it's so crazy low, and like lesbians are like 90% orgasms and stuff. And that's when I I actually realized a lot about like my own sexuality.
How do you
last
identify
couple of years.
sexual? Like,
I'm like a trans lesbian.
Trans lesbian.
Yeah, or like I'm not into guys.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way. Like whatever that means.
Yeah.
Or
so I'm also a trans lesbian.
I'm just like not into guys, but
yeah.
But I learned a lot about my sexuality because I was like I didn't realize until the last couple of years that I've been under the male gaze even though I'm not into men, and that really fucked with me when I just realized that like if I were to like look at what constitutes as like what counts as being in love. And when you're younger, what counts as being in love is that you have to be two people who date and fuck each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it needs to be like a dick and pussy. I mean, that's like how stupid.
Right. That
was me. I mean, I thought this until like, it was an unexamined thought I had.
Yeah.
And then I thought, like, wait a minute. If we go on those parameters, does that mean that asexual people have never been in love? Because that feels kind of gross, right?
Right.
I mean that like lesbians and gay guys. And so like, I realized that like, oh my God, like all I've been told about sexuality, it has been wrong, and I've been holding on to these myths in my brain for so long, and then I kind of thought about like back in high school, junior high, college, all these like I never thought girls liked me, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was like kind of the through line of my whole life.
Me too.
And no, but girls like you, right?
No, really though. That was I know you. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It was.
But I look back, and what the truth of it was, a lot of those girls did like me,
Yeah.
but they didn't like the way I liked them. It was like I was a gay guy who liked girls.
Mm.
Like they wanted me to make a move. I was waiting for them to make a move. Because I mean, I didn't know I was a girl at the time, and neither did they. And that was the problem, is that I would have these like very close friendships with girls in high school and college and everything, and it would be very confusing for both of us because it was like we're not dating, but we're more than friends, but we've never done anything sexual or even really romantic, but it's been kind of romantic. Like that was like all of my friendships.
Right.
And I'm like, my whole life makes sense now if I retroactively look at it like I was a girl and neither of us knew I was a girl. And all of my friendships made sense. It's like, oh, that's why this girl didn't like me. It's because she's straight.
Right. Oh, but I'll just add though.
Yeah.
Like the added confusion. This element is just that in general, female friendships are so intense.
They really are.
They're so intense.
I know.
And the way women connect intimately when it's not sexual, when it's not romantic, it's so beyond platonic.
Yes. And I loved your clip about that, by the way. Your joke about it.
Oh, thank you.
The complimenting is really funny.
But that area is really hard to live in when I don't know where you stand, or like this is so more than friendly, but we're not dating. It's like they're just loaded emotional.
Yeah. And I mean, I kind of like look at it like queer friendships in general. I think I guess like I don't know, more like I guess non-traditional friendships of like it's more like a dial knob and not like an on and off switch.
Yeah.
And ever since I started looking at it that way, where it's like if your feelings are confusing, it's because like you're not a straight person. You're not like a straight guy. You're not a straight girl. So all of the all these things that we were taught about, like these are the rules of a friendship. This is how you get friend zone, and this is how you like somebody. And so like if
it's
you
so
kind of
binary.
Yeah, if you like just dismantle all that and just kind of go, well, it's okay to feel anything that you feel about anybody else for as intense as you want, as long as you don't expect anything from them. And when you realize that you can do that and it can feel safe, like you can actually feel anything for, like if you have like feelings for your friend, as long as you're not trying to fuck them when they don't want to fuck you, or as long as you don't like
it might be uncomfortable, but you can tolerate if you can tolerate it.
And also like it's just like look at it like you feel something so strongly for someone because you love them, and it's not always clear what that means, but you know that what you have is more than enough. And just like just having to reconceptualize it that way, because I'm such an emotional person and everything. If I like questioned every thought I had, I would go fucking insane.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of did you ever watch Girls on HBO?
Mm-mm.
They say it's a stupid thing for me to quote kind of, because Girls was kind of important and meaningful in like the cultural fabric at the time, but now for some reason it sounds corny and cheesy.
I heard it's still really funny and holds up, actually.
I guess it's good. I mean, I remember loving it, but the idea that I'm bringing it up now as relevant is weird to me.
I want to hear it,
but
though.
they say something at the start of the show about how like the friendships that these girls have in their 20s, early 30s were more intense, more romantic, more like fanciful than any relationship they had with a sexual partner.
Yeah.
And I do feel that like some of the biggest romantic gestures that have occurred in my life have been between friends. Like, It's not always that your partner's the one sweeping you off your feet. Like, friends can be so like gorgeously romantic.
I mean, I kind of like I like when I look back at like every person I've ever like hooked up with right away, it was because I didn't like them very much. It was because I just wanted, like, I just needed to feel sexual and sexualized and everything.
Yeah.
But like whenever I like somebody, I'm like, ooh, let's not like taint this right away with like you know what I mean? Like it's like and so like I do like think that I kind of just value. I value like close friendships more. And I kind of had this like little joke to myself where, whenever like someone complains about being in the friend zone, like it's a derogatory thing. And to me, I'm like, ew, you fuck people who aren't your friend? Like to me, like being in a friend zone is a good thing. It means that you are now in the zone that you can get fucked. That to me is like
that a stand-up bit?
Oh, I mean, I don't know. Like I kind of wanted to make
funny.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to make it one, but this is like testing it out on the podcast.
That's so true. I mean, I completely agree with that. And Amy Schumer has this joke that she posted on Instagram a little bit ago where she was like, I'm not going to fuck my husband. I'm not going to fuck my family.
Yes, it's kind of like that.
It's just that as well. It's like I want to fuck my friends, but I'm not going to fuck my relatives.
Right. That's so funny.
It's like constantly changing. I could talk to you like forever.
Yeah.
You're fascinating. I feel like I'm Letterman and
No, are we done already?
I'm gonna need to have you back because.
Oh, absolutely.
But tell me like where you're going up in the near future, so people can come see you. Where people should follow you.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I am Robin Tran 04 on Instagram and Twitter, and then I am Robin Tran Comedian on TikTok, and I just started a Patreon, Robin Tran Comedy, where I am posting all my clips, and I just did like my first podcast where I'm doing my own show. Oh, I've avoided doing my own podcast forever.
Yeah.
And I just recorded my first episode
What's it
yesterday.
Called?
It's just called the Robin Tran Show. I'm really bad at the business part of it.
This is the Ali Kolbert Show. So.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. I mean, it's a really brilliant idea.
I think that's what the best shows are.
Yeah,
the Howard Stern Show, the Nikki Glaser podcast.
Yeah.
The Tim Dillon Show.
Yeah.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
The last two are...
The Robin Tran Experience.
There you go. The Robin Tran Experience.
Thank you for coming on and sharing. You're really fascinating. And
so are you.
Just like your EQ's through the roof. IQ.
Oh, thank you.
No, but like I like talking to people like yourself. So.
Oh, thank you so much. It was nice talking to you too.
Thanks.